Rồi.
Hello, everyone. A very good afternoon to you all. First of all, I would like to express my thankfulness to all my colleagues from the Department of English, and I welcome you all to the webinar on career opportunities in corporate industries, organized by the Department of English in HATIM. And even though the vote of thanks will be given by the head of the department at the end of this program, I would like to express my foremost thankfulness to the Almighty God for making this program a reality, and to our principal for making this happen, and for his cooperation, and to our resource person, Mr. Sagar Thacker, who is willing to grace us with his expertise and his experiences and skills. And let me just give you the details of the program. Uh, after a few minutes, I will call upon the principal to give a welcome speech, and then after that, I will come over here again. Then I will have an introduction of our resource person, and then I will hand over the time to him without much further delay, and then the lecture or the presentation will commence. And after the presentation is done, we will open the time for question and answers. And I would like to remind and request all our audience, not only from here in the HATIM auditorium, but also from also our audience, our online audience, to actively participate in asking questions or making comments. Now, I would like to request our respected principal, Mr. Von Sang Van Chong, to give a short welcoming speech.
Thank you. Thank you. Enough. Thank you, our leader. I'd like uh, I'd like to wish you all a very good afternoon from India. I am happy that I could be here at this time, at this webinar, and I'd like to first of all congratulate the Department of English of Higher and Technical Institute Mizoram for organizing this webinar, and we could so call it international webinar because our guest speaker, our resource person, is from abroad, and I'd like to extend my warm welcome and greetings to our guest speaker today, Mr. Sagar Thacker, in a very special manner for your availability to speak here in front of all of our students. And I'd also like to extend my welcome and greetings to our English department students who have come here to witness this program and listen from our resource person as well. You know, nowadays the world has seen many changes in the few decades, and during our childhood we had not seen the world that we are seeing today. So our world has become so different in such a manner that there is so great an influx of population into major cities, mega cities, and metropolitan cities. Let us say in a nutshell, urban migration has become increasingly very much increasing nowadays. So because of that, there is a common problem or challenge that is faced by most of the developing countries. That is unemployment problem. So this unemployment problem has arisen out of major migration from rural areas into urban areas. So this is a big challenge for corporate industries, and this is an opportunity that youngsters nowadays and our youth these days have to face, and at the same time they have to grab the opportunity as well. There are a lot of job opportunities available, and earlier in some decades back, opportunities were found more in rural areas maybe, but nowadays there are more opportunities in urban areas. Because of that, the world has now become a corporate world. So corporate industries provide much more opportunities than rural areas. So our youngsters, our youth today have to find this opportunity, and for that they need to know the right way as to what kind of job opportunities do I have in the corporate industries. So I think this is a very relevant topic that is chosen by the English department, and I'm thankful to them, and I would like to congratulate the department once again, and I would like to welcome you all afresh to this webinar, to all the organizers, to our guest speaker, to spend a wonderful time together. And I'd like also to request the participants to ask questions if there need to be some questions to be asked. Our guest speaker is here available with us and ready to answer the questions that are asked to him. I'd like to invite all of you to take part in this webinar, and I wish you all the best throughout this hour. I thank you.
Thank you, our principal. And now, before I give the time to our resource person, let me give a brief introduction of his educational and work experiences. Mr. Sagar Thacker hailed from Gujarat, and he graduated in computer engineering from CSIT, that is Chhatrapati Shivaji Institute of Technology, Durg. And he did his MBA in operations management from Symbiosis Institute of Operations Management. And after he had done his MBA, he had 6.5 years of work at Amazon.in and 1 year of experience at Amazon.com in Dubai since the past 1 year. And his job profiles scan across operations, program management, and product management roles. So before I call him out, I would like to remind all our audience to feel free and to listen attentively to what he has to say to us, and to feel free to ask him any questions and to participate actively in the Q&A session. Now I am going to hand over the time to Mr. Sagar Thacker, and now we may switch the screen to him. And Sagar, yes. Mm. Now the time is handed over to you. Please feel free to present to us whatever you have prepared.
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for such a warm welcome, Samuel and Mr. Principal, sir. My pleasure to be, joining all of you and trying to discuss some of my thoughts and perspectives. Uh, it's a good pleasure for me as well to be here, remotely and like trying to communicate with you. I hope you all are like doing well and you had a good, pleasant day of lectures today. I know you're done with a lot of lectures today, but I'll try to make our communication and uh, our session more meaningful and more interactive. So I'll really like if we have a two-way dialogue going on for most part of the session, so that we can exchange thoughts, exchange ideas. I can learn from you and understand your questions. What are your how do you think, and how can I try to provide my perspective to a lot of questions that you may have. So looking forward to a very engaging discussion with all of you. Uh, quickly, like trying to provide a more context of about myself. So uh, I have done my engineering in computer science from Gujarat, in one of the deemed universities. Uh, while I was in engineering, I was very keen to learn new things, to understand business aspects. Like that curiosity was always there, and even during my engineering days, I thought that maybe I should try to learn more and kind of explore more things outside Gujarat, because the university was not in my hometown, but it was slightly far away from my hometown. So I had good exposure. I met a lot of new people. I studied computer science for 4 years. It was very very meaningful. But I always wanted to kind of do something more, learn something more, and get more understanding of how the real world operates. So I tried to prepare for my entrance exams for MBA. There are entrance exams across multiple institutes, and I was lucky enough to get uh, admission into one of the good institutes, which was based out of Maharashtra. So I was I studied my engineering outside my hometown. Then further, I moved out slightly out of my comfort zone to a different state, which is Maharashtra. I studied MBA there for 2 years in operations management, and like again, I was very lucky to have people from all around India participating in the MBA program. Like we had practically students from all across the states of India who were a part of the curriculum, and it was real pleasure to kind of understand and learn experiences from a lot of people from lot of industries. So in our batch of 120, we had people who had experience in IT companies, who had worked in manufacturing companies, who had experience in social work, who had done some experience in event management, who had done work in customer service. So I had learnings exchange from a lot of different kind of people. The interactions that you do with a lot of different people across your 2 years is immensely helpful in kind of building thought process, uh, you know in trying to understand more about yourself as well. Once you kind of go outside of your, say, outside your hometown, you understand a lot of things about yourself as well. How do you manage different situations? How do you manage communications with new people? uh, how do you manage your time? All those things. So it was a very good learning for uh, the 2 years, post which I got interviews and placements for Amazon.com in 2016, and I joined Amazon offices in Hyderabad, which is in Telangana state. So yes, this was the third state for me, uh, where I moved on for my first job, and I was very lucky to kind of meet Samuel, uh, to kind of he we worked together in my team, and I really learned a lot of things from him as well as from other peers. Uh, so I continued my journey for 2.5 years in Hyderabad in a customer service team. It was the first time I was getting entering into this world of customer service, and learned about how things work, what is quality management, what are the different aspects companies look when they are trying to hire, what is required to be a good performer in those companies, what all are the further opportunities lying. All those things, once you enter into a company, you start realizing all those things which only practical exposure and practically, if you are there, you can learn about. So I had a very good exposure for 2.5 years in the customer service organization for Amazon.com. After that, uh, I wanted to explore something more better, and something which is a different kind of a learning, and I decided to move into a corporate role in Bangalore office, which was a supply chain team. Now, supply chain team is essentially when, for example, if we order something from Amazon.in, how fast we get our deliveries. What is from where do the inventory come? Like, from where does the boxes come? How can we reduce cost? How can we increase speed? What do our customers want? All those things I was exposed to in my uh, in my role in the Bangalore office. So from Hyderabad, I moved to Bangalore, and for good 3.5 years, I was a part of that team. So we did a lot of innovative, stuff, working across the teams. Like again, in my Bangalore office, I had, collaboration from different people across India, who had varied backgrounds, who had their own perspectives, and we tried to come together, brainstorm a lot, and created very unique things within Amazon. And it was a really good learning in terms of my professional growth, as well as overall learning uh, in terms of developing my skill set. So from there, I again wanted, so after COVID, when the companies were kind of like operating from a remote model, then I chose to get an international exposure, and further I moved to a international location in Dubai. It is not very far from India. For those who might not be aware about this place, it is just 2.5 hours, 3 hours from India by plane. So I moved here into again a very different team, which is retail team, which focuses on more customer experience related aspects. So yes, this is how my overall journey has been so far, in terms of like moving from different places out of my hometown into different roles within a company, meeting different people, gaining new experiences, and trying to learn and gain as much as possible in my 7.5 years, in terms of my learning as well as my professional growth. overall, it has been nothing short of a exciting journey. And I think I feel it's we are in a world where things are changing in very fast pace, and there is a constant need to be in touch with all the new trends, to understand what is happening, to keep in touch with the new technologies, to keep in touch with what all are the new events happening. And being in a corporate world enables you or provides you a platform to be engaged into all these things. Like you can maybe read an article or read a news about how corporate functions, but only when you enter into a corporate or enter into a job, that's when you realize what it means to get into it. And it's very important, I feel, to kind of get out of your comfort zone and try to venture into newer and newer things. uh, and maybe once you are fresh out of college, it's the best thing. When you're out of college, it's the best period because you can get molded, your mind can get molded into different functions, into different experiences. And maybe after 5 6 years you get to really choose and pick on exactly what is your liking, what do you want to do further, and so many things alike. So after 5 years, as an individual, one gets a very good understanding of what one wants to do further to kind of progress, what is the inclination, and how can other opportunities in different sectors be helpful. So overall, I think I'm just 7.5 years into corporate, uh, but it's been like a really good learning opportunity so far. And like I can go and talk on and on for hours in terms of my professional experiences, in terms of the challenges I faced, in terms of what are the different uh, like question marks that one has uh, while choosing a career, all those things. So we'll talk about it. I'll be happy to answer your questions. uh, but from my side, I this is a very and this probably basis my experiences. I think there are 4 or 5 key things which are very important to kind of to be like more aware and more successful about what we do. First thing, which is most important, is to have curiosity. Curiosity is super important uh, for it's basically a precursor or a basic requirement to kind of learn more. Like for example, someone who is pursuing a BCA course, right? You need to have a lot of curiosity about how software functions, what is the industry practice in terms of software development, what are the key companies, what are the opportunities, in which places are the opportunities lying ahead for BCA personal, for BCA graduates. What what is your skill set within programming? What is the language that you like? Is that something which is a very specific skill set? How can you develop more? What are the online courses available? All those curious things you need to, one needs to have in order to develop more skill set, more perspective, and uh, to basically lay the foundation for doing more things, right? So one is curiosity, which is most important, and it can vary from different professions. For example, a mechanical engineer, or maybe an English graduate, English language graduate, or maybe any other field. Curiosity is more important in terms of understanding what the industry is going through overall for your respective course, and trying to get more and more relevant by reading more stuff, talking to more people. So that is the first and most important thing. It's kind of less talked about, People usually talk about working hard and things like that, which is also very important. But I think curiosity, if you are more curious, uh, you know, you always end up working more or putting more efforts uh, in terms of what you want to achieve or what you desire, right? Second part is, of course, it is perseverance. Like, if you are very passionate about something and very curious about something, you need to put in your 110% on on uh, on the thing you aspire for, and that is irreplaceable. Only you can put those efforts to learn more, to kind of succeed, to become a differentiator. For example, if there are 100 folks trying to develop a software, how do you make sure that whatever code that you write is the best code? It runs fastest, it doesn't have any bugs. So that is most important in terms of getting more and more finish and more accuracy into what you are doing. And that requires a lot of practice, hard work, and perseverance. And that is non replaceable, non negotiable for everything that we do. Say, for example, a sports person, or a good news anchor, or a good software writer, or a good communications professional. Hard work and practice is irreplaceable, right? Uh, Third is importance of teamwork and collaboration. We are all in a very you're just about to graduate, and everyone has a lot of energy that hey, I can do this, I can achieve this, this is my this is my passion, and it's okay, I don't need support. But most important point is, with with a collective team, with say an effort of 3 to 4 people, you end up getting a lot of more ideas. You discuss and validate your thoughts. Am I thinking what am I thinking is right or wrong? Will this approach be the best, or can we discuss 2 3 different approaches and adopt the best one, which is more suitable? So the impact of teamwork and collaboration in any aspect is super important. Individually, you can achieve good things, but with team effort, the chances of repeatedly doing good things and not failing a lot really improve. And it is really encouraged that we have we kind of bond together and collaborate. And the last thing is willingness to get out of comfort zone. It is very important because in all our places that we are respectively located, for example, I was based out of Gujarat, all of you are from Mizoram. Every place has some challenges but also a lot of limitations in terms of scope of work, in terms of learning opportunity, in terms of work and employment opportunity, all of this. So it is very important that we constantly explore whatever we are liking. Where are those companies situated? Where are the best institutes? And if for learning that, or for working in a company, if we want to, if we have to relocate, I think it's not a bad choice. It is actually going to help you in a longer run, because you will have a lot of different insights and perspectives. So if there is a choice of getting out of your comfort zone, out of your hometown, and venture outside to learn something new or work somewhere, it is super important. And I have myself done it. A lot of my peers and my friends have also done it. Samuel was in Hyderabad, and I'm sure he will share his learnings with you in terms of what all he learned from his peers in Hyderabad. So that is super important, I think. you know uh, you don't let yourself be confined to the region, or to one place, or to one discipline as well. If there are multiple interests, if some of you are, for example, literature graduates, but you want to explore something in say IT, or in some other field, there are a lot of courses available, lot of people available to talk to, and kind of progress into what you actually like, because that is going to help everyone in the long run, right? So yeah, I think that's kind of my couple of cents on how my journey has been, how the world is, how how the opportunities are there. And trust me, in terms of opportunities, India is one of the fastest growing places in terms of work opportunities available, in terms of skilled manpower, in terms of remuneration growth, in terms of salaries. It's a it has got very decent in the last 5 to 7 years and plus. So uh, if there is a skill set, there are a lot of opportunities in every discipline to work and kind of have a good salary, good profile. All those things are now very available. And just a quick fact, India as a country has the largest uh, youth population right now, which means the workforce that India has is the is probably the largest. And like students like you, who will who are just entering the, after college, who will enter the jobs, uh, like you have a major role to play in how India overall as a country will progress, because the contributions that you will give in terms of your jobs, in terms of your work, will directly impact how the country as a whole progresses. And this is very unique to India. Like less more than 50% of the population in India right now is below 30 years old. So we are a very young country, filled with enthusiasm, filled with all all the new innovative mindset that all of you students possess. So it's very important that we channelize, constantly talk, and understand what is going on, and try to kind of pick something and move further. We can build on it over year very easily. So yeah, that is my perspective. I already see some of the students have started with their questions. So I will take those questions one by one, uh, and feel free to come up on the mic and discuss any follow-up questions as well. For students who are seated in the auditorium, maybe once I cover the questions on the chat, we will move to you as well for your questions, right? Uh, okay. Uh, I think the first question is, what kind of openings can students in language literature have in the corporate world, right? I think there are a lot of jobs which require a bachelor's, and uh, and irrespective of actually the discipline. So, for example, if you are passing out from literature majors or language majors, there are a lot of teaching jobs available. A lot of teaching jobs have now become remote as well. But if you have English majors, like again, 30% plus of our population doesn't know English. And if you are an English language literature expert, you have so many people to teach that subject, teach that language. There are so many like content. be- there is so much of content being made, right? What we see in our phone screens these days, and a lot of effort goes in translation of content from one language to other. And if you're a literature expert or a language expert, you have a big role to play in terms of bringing that content in a regionalized language, right? There is a lot of opportunity there. But if you are a language graduate, and if you want to say do something else, there are a lot of good entry level customer service as well as accounting jobs available, which require a basic understanding of mathematics and basic customer handling skills, which you can also join. So there are a lot of opportunities which are there. A lot of it are remote, and but most of them are based out of places and cities like Delhi, Hyderabad, Mumbai, Bangalore, Pune, and then there are tier 2 cities like Indore, and Jaipur, all those places. So yes, there are a lot of opportunities, and if you actively go to the job portals, you will find a lot of relevant opportunities. Yes. Okay, second question is it essential to have MBA degree? It is not essential. Essentially, what most companies require are minimum graduates in any discipline. Of course, companies like Amazon, because they work in a very specific domain, they hire people from very specific domain, like engineer in computer science, or for retail, they hire some people who have retail experience. So they have their set of criteria, but overall, in general, there is it is not essential to have an MBA or a PhD degree to start off. To start off, you what you need is a bachelor's degree equivalent minimum, in and you can enter a domain of your choice. Once you get a year or two of experience, then it is best to decide if you want to do an MBA or you don't want to do an MBA. But there is no limitation in terms of applying to jobs. Uh, yes, and a lot of my friends in Amazon are like graduates as well who just started out of their college and are continuing with the company, and they did not do an MBA. Yes. I think the third question is kind of similar for the language and literature. Uh, we can take more questions. Feel free to post your questions on the chat window. Audience in the uh,
All right, Sagar. While hello. All right. So
yes,
it seems like they are deep in their thoughts. Thinking about what to ask next. So while we are waiting for them, let me read out certain questions that had been pre-submitted by some few students. So the first one is the question is like this. Let me just read it the way it is written. Okay. Let's say I want to join your corporate industry. Is it trustworthy? Can I trust it for future income?
good question. I appreciate this. Uh, in terms of the companies and the laws that we have, our labor laws, they are increasingly becoming more and more employee friendly, right? And not employer friendly. There are uh, there are laws defined on how many maximum number of hours a person has to work, beyond which they are not supposed to work, and that is enforced. In terms of work culture, if you enter a good company which like Infosys, TCS, and Tech Mahindra, all those companies, there is a very good work culture. The companies take care of their employees in terms of their transport. Some of them also provide monetary benefit in terms of the food requirement, in terms of their overall well-being. Like they some of the companies also offer for voluntary insurance requirements for safeguarding their own health, and in terms of mutual respect between employer and employees is also very high. So, for example, the companies respect their employees because they understand, uh, you know, it is very interdependent. Like they are dependent on the employees for the company to succeed. So there is a lot of respect, lot of security these days the companies provide, because the way we have seen growth, there is actually a lack of good talent. So if you are a good resource to the company, there is no question of a security within a job. The jobs are like for a large part, the jobs are secure. Of course, there can be like major happenings because of which some jobs may be trimmed, but overall, the job scenario across most places is very secure and very reliable. I think it is up to an individual to kind of prove with their work. But if they are a good performing person, uh, there is absolutely no question of a job security in these days, and this is across the industries.
Thank you, Sagar. Let me move on to the next question that had also been pre-submitted. Um, this question is somewhat similar to some of the questions that you had already answered, but let me just read. Is the job secure? What qualification does it require? That it simply went like that. Is the job secure? What qualifications does it
Yeah.
require?
See, I think the paramount important thing is job is secure as long as you are, uh, you know, as long as an individual is performing well. Companies don't expect anyone to work 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day. That is not the expectation. And there is a lot of weekly offs also that companies provide. In terms of security, the jobs are maximum jobs are very secure in case, uh, as long as the individuals are providing satisfactory performance for the company with the well defined goals, right? In terms of entering the corporate job industry, the minimum requirement most companies usually have is graduation. As long as you are graduate, you are able to communicate with people and you have a basic understanding of the language and like basic mathematics, not advanced mathematics. I think a lot of opportunities immediately open up across customer service, across IT, across communications, across event management, across media management, across tourism industry, across electronics, uh, communication industry, and so on and so forth. But like most companies look for a bachelor's equivalent because that is the minimum standard that that exists right now. But in terms of security, I think most companies, the way they are operating, there is a lot of sense of security in the job market. We hear in the news about some of them, which may, trim down workforce at some point, but largely it's not the case. Uh, Most of the companies do provide a good, safe uh, job security.
All right. Uh, Thank you so much once again, Sagar. And I will move on to the third question that was submitted to me by some of our students. And this next question is, it simply goes like this. Is there any age restriction for the job? So I hope they meant to ask if there is any age restriction for the entry level.
Definitely, I think that's a good question. Uh, the the multinational companies, which and I think there are a lot of multinational companies these days in India. Most of them do not have like an age criteria. So I had a colleague of mine working with me who was more than 50 years old. Right? He had done a lot of stints in his earlier job profiles, but he joined Amazon at the age of 50 years. Right? And my ex manager, he was an army professional. He joined Amazon at the age of 40. So definitely there is no age limit or age barrier. I think it all depends on how good your experience has been and how willing you are to contribute to the company. Most of the companies do not look for age. There may be some mid-size or very small companies who may look for an age criteria, but by and large, that is not a major requirement.
All right, thank you so much again.
I have one more question on the chat window
Yeah.
where
All
it
right, carry
says,
on with
is
that.
it better for a student to try joining a corporate or work in a yes. The question reads, it's is it better for a student to try joining a top corporate first, or join a mid-tier company first, and then join the top ones after 2 3 years? I think the most important thing is join a company which provides good work and good learning. If it's a mid-tier company which is in early stages, which is going to become larger, or which has a lot of unique breadth of work, right? You get to learn something on IT, you get to learn something on HR, you get to learn something on operations. If there is a lot of learning there, join those companies because you are just out of college. It will be very important in the next 5 years to learn as much as you can from different job areas. Once you have like good 4 5 years of experience, it will not matter. Like companies will automatically reach out to you, be it mid tier ones or top tier ones, and you will be a good fit for both. But go for a go for a company which provides more learning. And that assessment, there are multiple tools online to understand what the company does, what are the potential of the company, what the role requires. All those you can do a research, but join a company which has a good profile.
All right, thank you once again, Sagar. And this next question would be the last one for those who had submitted it to me. And this last question seems to have come from someone who has some idea of, the schedules and the nature of work there in the corporate industry. And so he or she has written it like this. Some of our relatives and acquaintances are working in corporate industries. Due to repeated changes in shifts, they are unable to follow a proper routine of bedtime and meals. Can there be any solution to this program? That is how the question is.
Okay, okay. Thanks for the question. I think, to be very honest, the solution is to be adaptive. I think the the age you are in right now, like we are very young, right? And it's not like, you shouldn't be burdened to follow a fixed routine or have meals at some fixed time of the day. I think you can be very flexible right now. If the work requires you to say work from 3 p.m. to 12 a.m., if these are if these are different hours than the usual hours, I think it shouldn't, like you shouldn't think it is a bad thing or a blocker. More important is to be adaptive to different work schedules, uh, because eventually things settle. You will become adaptable to those situations, to those shifts, and to those timings. But don't let that timing become a blocker for you to, reject some good opportunity. I think it's very important, at least in this stage of the life, to be as flexible as possible. Like, it doesn't matter. I have in my days, for example, I used to work in evening shifts, like night shifts, and that is completely okay. Yes, of course it is. Is it painful? Yes, it is painful for initial few days, but is it right thing to do and advisable for the long term? Yes, definitely. Because once you get through 2 3 months of those changes, you really become very adaptable, and it hardly matters after that.
All right, thank you. Now, I think that there are some more questions that the students seem to want to ask. So I'll hand over the microphone to them.
Mr. Thacker, how important is communication skills in getting a job in the corporate?
Communication skills is, I think it's one of the important things. Uh, Primarily, and I'll tell you the reason as well, right? The companies today, most of them work in teams, and within the teams, if you are supposed to work, there has to be a good communication in terms of how you communicate your requirements, how you communicate feedback, how you communicate your ideas. So communication from a clarity of thought standpoint is very important. It doesn't have to be that you have to become an excellent orator or you have to master the language. I don't think that's required at all. But in terms of basic ability to convey your thoughts and ideas, to kind of not talk too longer sentences, or maybe take 20 minutes to just get one thing addressed or presented, not like that. But if you're able to, as long as you're able to communicate your ideas in a crisp manner, in an effective manner, I think that is very important. Because otherwise, it becomes a lot of like it becomes chaotic sometimes if the communication is not proper within the team members. So that's why companies look for good communication skills in candidates, because it creates a good collaborative environment. While, so yes, it is important, but you don't have to become an excellent orator to kind of get a job.
Thank you, sir. Sir, so my question is, what are some of the challenges you face when you left your hometown?
Okay, I think uh, mentioning one or two challenges would be definitely not enough. uh, so first thing is, you leave your hometown, you are away from the comfort that you get from being with your family, in terms of how your food is going to be managed. What if you have a doubt somewhere and you need to ask someone, you don't have it, you have to manage within the money that you get, right? And there are no friends in a new place. You have to talk to people and become friends with them eventually. So yes, when you move outside your place, it is kind of figuring it out in terms of friendship, in terms of how to save money and balance within the budget, how you take care of your food and your own well-being, both physical and mental. So all these things are very important in the first few months, and it's like first time when you move out of your home, it is actually a big change, and it takes time, couple of months to adjust into a new environment. But yes, the challenges are there, but it's a good challenge. I mean, I would say it's a good challenge because it exposes you to a lot of different unique situations, and you figure out, it's not like a big deal. You figure out automatically, or what you have to do, you know what's the right thing, because you are seeing your peers also in a similar situation. So you collective wisdom develops at some point of time. You learn from people and you eventually figure out, or start figuring it out after 2 3 months.
Thank you, sir.
Um, Thank you, Sagar, once again for answering the questions. And is there any questions from the floor? Anyone? All right. It seems like there's no more questions from the students. And with that, we can close the Q&A session. And now, I will hand over the time to Miss H.T. Zwali, the head of English Department, HATIM, and she will deliver a vote of thanks. And after that, this meeting will be concluded.
Sure.
Thank you. When it comes to the time of thank yous and gratitude, quite a number of people comes to mind. Our program, our webinar today would not be successful without our resource person, Mr. Sagar Thacker, Senior Product Manager at Amazon.com from Dubai. Thank you, sir, for your valuable time. As you would know, our college is from a small, sleepy little town from the most remote part of India, yet our students are equipped with the grit and the potential to break out into the bigger world. I'm sure today's event, your guidance and sharing your expertise would pave a way in finding better opportunities career-wise and also leading a life full of quality. Thank you so much, sir. Again, a very huge thank you to the principal, Mr. Wansang of Wansong, for his endless support to the activities of the department. Thank you so much once again, sir. And of course, our technical team here deserves a very huge applause for lending their service, especially in a webinar like this. The whole event hangs on the technical expertise. So thank you so much to Sarem Liana, Sarwat Kiba, Ratsanga, and also Tuan Oma for your service. Of course, our event today would not be successful without the VIPs, the audience, our students here in the auditorium, as well as viewers and participants from Google Meet and YouTube Live. Thank you so much for being with us. We hope you benefit from our webinar. Well, this is only day one of our webinar series, and please do join us again tomorrow for day two at the same time. Thank you, everyone, and good evening.
Thanks a lot, team. Have a good day.